What's up, YouTube? Waist deep wade fishing, Southwest Florida here. And very interesting subject this afternoon. And I think everyone should tune in for this one. Because this one has been debated forever. And I'm not saying I have the answer to it. But what I'm saying is pay attention. Maybe you might learn something. Today's subject, short and simple. How long should you keep throwing the same artificial? And when do you change it up? Now, I've seen tons of videos out there and tons of soft plastic salesmen and soft plastic producers and, stay with this bait, and this bait is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And, it's the best color and the best action and the best this and the best that. Here's the truth of the matter. Just like fish swim and fish are active and go from one feeding spot to another, fish also have an appetite. And one day fish will hit this type of lure. And the next day they won't hit that same lure. They'll hit something else. Another factor to the matter is season and of course matching the hatch, which I agree. But sometimes, matching the hatch doesn't work. Sometimes there's so much bait on the flat that they're sick and tired of eating that same bait. Or sometimes they're just not interested. They're not hungry. Well, what's the answer to that question? When and how long should I keep the same bait that I'm using on? Well, I'm here today to tell you. On the average, when I hit a flat or I hit a point and, with oyster bars on it, or I'm beating the bushes, I'm beating up the mangroves, and I get to a spot, again, if I'm there early enough, 9 out of 10 times, usually there isn't nobody there yet. But if I've made it out there later in the day, I don't know. There could have been 4 or 5 boats there, another group of wade fishermen. I wasn't there. I don't know. So I have to dissect that zone, and by doing that, is I'm going to be using a number of baits. Which baits will determine on the situation, the wind, the clarity, the season, the coefficient of the water, the moon, and also, if it's in a local area, and what are the local guys throwing? If a fish sees the same baits over and over and over and over and over again, chances are they're not likely to hit that bait. So you want to be different. You want to stand out. Sometimes, you've got white bait all over the place. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to throw something that stands out. If I have a greenback, that has a green top and a silvery whitish bottom, then I may just throw on, something that purple or electric chicken. Or Mardi Gras, something that when I throw it I'll throw it on that flat, that it's going to stand out from everything else that's different. So again, the answer to the question, how long do I throw it? Well, on the average, if you get to a spot and you have peak conditions, and let's say you get there on a major bite, tide's coming in, and it's not enough water to get up near the mangrove, so you're fishing out on the grass. Well, I would say if you're at peak time and you're in a specific zone where you know that it usually holds fish, I would give it 10 to 30 casts, anywhere in that range. And if you don't get a sniff with that bait, I would definitely consider trying a different color and a different profile. So switch the bait, throw a different color, a different profile, whether it's a spoon, whether it's a plug, whether it's a soft plastic, whether it's a artificial shrimp imitation, artificial crab imitation, whatever you carry in your box that you feel comfortable with, but change it up. So on the average, 10 to 30 casts. If you don't get a sniff from it, and you know this is a zone that you have been going to for, let's say, the 2 or 3 years, and you know it produces on this particular tide, the trend is there, and you're not getting a sniff, I would change up the bait after about 30 casts. Another factor to keep in mind. Let's say that you throw that bait and you're whacking them. You're catching them left and right. Boom, 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 boom. 5, 6, maybe 10 fish, trout, redfish, snook, and then all of a sudden, phew, it just stops. Could be one of two things. A, you've spooked every other fish off that flat or that particular zone. B, you've pulled all the fish that were feeding out. Chances are you didn't. Or C, you're tired of seeing that bait running across the flat. That would be another indicator to change it up. If you're using a white soft plastic, maybe you should try going into a green with a brown. And if the green or the brown doesn't work, then maybe you should start going to a black or a purple. Change contrasts, change profiles, change cadences. If you're throwing into a hole and you're fishing for trout and you're popping it and you're throwing it into a pothole and pop, pop, pause, let it drop, reel, pop, pop, pause, let it drop and reel, and you're not getting hit, well then what you want to do, take that same lure, throw it over that flat, or throw it over that pothole, over that grass, or at that point, instead of popping it, just steady reel it. And again, after 10 to 30 casts, if you know that that's a spot that should be holding fish and you have the right conditions and you have the right scenarios and you're still not getting hit, change the bait. Moral of the story is you shouldn't use the same bait in an area that you know produces fish more than 10 to 30 casts, and this is just how I feel, if it's a producing spot. Before you move on to another area or another part of that zone, change the bait up, give it a couple opportunities before you leave, because 9 out of 10 times you may change that profile or color and throw in that same spot and pull that redfish, snook, or trout right out from it. All right, guys, I hope that little tip helps you out. Again, this is Mark with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida. Love you all. Please like, subscribe, and share. Much love to you, and I will see you guys out on the water.